Well, more details today about 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. According to reports, the Florida teen who was shot and killed by 28-year-old neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman last month had been suspended from school 3 times over the past year. Now, in addition to finding traces of marijuana in his backpack, school officials suspended him for skipping class and defacing lockers with graffiti. Martin's parents called the suspensions irrelevant as they attended a forum on racial profiling in Washington, D.C. And they continue to insist that their son was killed because he is black.
I would just like to say that, of course, my heart is broken. But it breaks even more to know that we have not gotten justice yet and that this man has not been arrested for shooting and killing my son.
Athena Jones is covering the story for us in Washington tonight, and she's here with the latest. Athena, I know you were there at the hearing, obviously very emotional.
Absolutely, especially after that hearing. It took her several seconds to even be able to speak, Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon's mother. And during the hearing itself, there was also a lot of very strong words, in particular from the 2 congresswomen from Florida who represent the communities that we're talking about here. Corrine Brown represents Sanford, which is where Trayvon was killed on February 26th. And Frederica Wilson is from Miami. She says she knew Trayvon's family. Both of them talked about this botched investigation. Corrine Brown said that the family of Sanford feels like the system isn't working for them and that this has to be a teachable moment. And Representative Wilson said that she's going to be counting down the days until there's an arrest. And that seemed to be the overall focus of today's forum, and that is seeking justice, giving these members of Congress a chance to show their support for Trayvon Martin's parents, and also keep the pressure on, show that they want to see this case, see Zimmerman arrested and to see this case tried in a court of law, Aaron.
All right, thank you very much, Athena. Well, the case obviously is a lightning rod of controversy across the country. Allegations of racial profiling have motivated thousands to rally, demanding the arrest of the neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman. The question some have, though, is the country jumping the gun on a situation when we don't have all the information? Reverend C.L. Bryan and CNN analyst Roland Martin are both out front tonight. And, Reverend, let me start with you. You have made the comment that Reverend Al Sharpton and Reverend Jesse Jackson, both of whom now are involved in this situation, are, quote, exploiting the tragedy. What do you mean?
Whenever there's something like this that occurs, like Tawana Bradley or the Duke lacrosse team, you can guarantee you that 2 faces will show up in order to heighten the tension in this type of situation. And they're usually Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Jackson. Our hearts do go out to this mother because she's lost a son who is 17 years old. That, though, is an issue that I do believe justice will find its way to remedy.
Roland, how do you respond to that? I mean, is there anything to that concern about Reverend Sharpton?
Here's the deal. 2 million people have signed the change.org petition. And so Reverend Bryan is taking issue with 2 folks. Were they the only people who were there? I was in Sanford yesterday. There were thousands of people there. Reverend Jamal Bryant of Baltimore was there. There were AME pastors. There were Catholic priests there. There were Baptist preachers there. And so if he has a personal problem with Reverend Sharpton and Jackson, that's his problem. But when you have 2 million people, when you have literally vigils and rallies in 50 cities across the country, these people aren't out there because of Reverend Jackson and Sharpton. They're out there because of the issue at hand. So I say, you got a problem with them? That's your problem, Reverend Bryan. We're focused on this case.
Reverend Bryan?
Let's have the same type of energy toward the young lady, the little girl who was killed on her doorsteps in Chicago, who was 6 years old. Let's gather 2 million people and talk about the black-on-black crime that is going on. The most dangerous person in the life of a young black man is another young black man. And the type of ideas that are spawned when we gather together over a white-on-black murder. And in fact, there's not an epidemic of white men killing black boys. There's an epidemic of black boys, black men killing black men. And all of them know that. And so let's focus the energy on solving the problem that happens every day, not something that happens once in a while.
Now, here's what I find to be interesting, Aaron, because, Reverend, I went to your Twitter page, and you've made no comment on anything since February 24th, not even the Chicago killings. You've made no comment on your Facebook page. I've checked news stories. The only comment that you've made about shootings in Chicago was when you were criticizing Reverend Sharpton Jackson. So I say, as a pastor, where are you? See, I get pastors who differ. I know that the Apostle Paul differed with the disciple Peter, but where have you been? Are you in Chicago? Are you leading marches? Are you leading rallies? Are you stepping up? How weak is it to say what somebody else is not doing when you should be a leading voice? So have you been to Chicago?
I've paid my dues, and yes, I've been to Chicago.
There's no record
let me
where
tell
you have said a word
let me
on those
answer
shootings.
your question.
Let me respond.
Your question is, what dues have I paid? I've had the Klan and the skinheads after me.
That's not what I
over
asked.
School busing.
That's not what I asked.
20-some years ago. Just this past month here where I live in Shreveport, in Louisiana, the skinheads and the Aryan Nation was trying to move into our area.
That's not what I asked.
along with other pastors, have in fact done that. What we are doing is in fact trying to deal with a powder keg here that we need to keep this the top on.
Aaron,
that's what we're trying to do. Roland, you haven't been looking at the right pages. You Google C.L. Bryant. You'll see where I am.
Hold on one moment. This issue of I understand you both differ on this issue of Chicago, and Roland has a fair point. But Roland, I want to ask you about something he raised.
Sure.
Department of Justice, 2005. Half of all male homicide victims in this country are black. 52%.
Absolutely.
93% of the killers in those homicides were black. Shouldn't we be doing something about that, too?
Well, first of all, there are people who are doing that. And look, I've run 3 black website. I have a Sunday morning show on a black cable network. And so there are people who are doing that. But here's the point I'm making.
Right.
That's a different argument to say, what are we doing about that when Reverend Bryant wants to specifically criticize Sharpton and Jackson? And all I'm saying is he hasn't said a word about the shootings in Chicago until he criticized Sharpton and Jackson. And all I'm saying, Reverend Bryant, I can guarantee you that James Meeks, Charles Jenkins, I guarantee you that Reverend Clay, a number of those pastors in Chicago will love to hear from you. So don't just sit here and waste time criticizing Reverend Sharpton and Jackson. I say not what you did 4 years ago. One second, sir. You specifically called them out about the shootings in Chicago and Newark, yet you are not on the record, even on your own website, of saying or doing anything. So here's what I say. You let me know.
Let me go on record. Let me go on record tonight.
Finish your sentence and then let him respond.
Let me go on record tonight.
You let me know when you go to Chicago, and I will see you there when you want to discuss black-on-black violence in Chicago. Just let me know when.
Well, let me do this. Let me go on record tonight and say, let's put your ideology on the table.
No problem.
And let's put my ideology on the table.
I'm just saying, you show up.
I called you out tonight. We can meet in Chicago. We can meet in Newark. And let's see whose ideology best suits the traditional core values of black American people. Let's see whose ideas stand the mustard. And I do accept whatever challenge you have, but I throw down the gauntlet tonight. Let us have a test of the different ideologies, liberal and black conservative.
All right, well, you know what? Can I ask you both?
That's pretty funny considering I'm not a liberal Christian, but go right ahead.
Well, I want, when you both go, whether you go to Chicago, you go to Newark, come back here, and let's continue this conversation,
Well, let's see if he shows up.
I'm going to trust you both when
I will show up wherever you need me to show up to have this conversation.
You going to call Jackson and Sharpton out? You show up.
I will show up. I've been calling Reverend Jackson and Sharpton out for a long time.
And that's why you're here. It's all about them.
I grew up in the segregated South. I remember Negro Day in the South. I've paid my dues in the South. My grandfather said he didn't go through what he went through so I could be black. He went through what he went through so I could be free. Free to say what I want to say, talk to who I want to talk to, and go where I want to go.
And I will see you both then in Chicago or Newark. You're going to come on this show. All right. Thank you very much to both of you. And please, everyone, let us know what you think about that conversation on Twitter.